From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Library of Congress Annual Book Festival. This is the 13th year, lucky number 13. What a glorious day we have here. And you are in for a treat this afternoon because you are about to meet a woman we all know because she's invited us into her life, into her kitchen on the Food Network for the past 8 years. With Giada De Laurentiis, we've enjoyed family dinners, we've made everyday pasta dishes, gone on weekend getaways, and spent time in her home, especially her kitchen. We've even tagged along on her adventures in paradise. Now she's opening our children's eyes to the wonders of food and travel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome multiple award-winning chef, writer, and queen of Italian cuisine on the Food Network, Giada De Laurentiis.
Good morning. You guys are all up early. What a gorgeous day it is. You know, I flew in late last night and it was a torrential downpour in a small little plane from Nashville where I was working. And I thought to myself, uh-oh, this isn't gonna be a lot of fun tomorrow in the rain for everybody. And then I woke up this morning and it is beautiful. So nice job, you guys. You can control the weather here in DC. It's fantastic. It's nice to see you all of you in the front row. So I have a kids book series that I wrote, and I'm so excited for everybody to read it, especially all the little kids. And it's a bit of a departure from obviously my cookbooks, but it's been a really fun adventure. And so it's an adventure series called A Recipe for Adventure, and then the Alfie and Amelia, brother and sister, go to different cities on each of their adventures. So Naples is the first city, which is a very special place in my heart because it's where my grandfather was born. And the first type of food I ever started cooking was pizza. And of course, in my family, the best pizza in the world is from Naples. So it's a wonderful adventure in the city of Naples. And then the second is Paris, which we have here. And Paris is sort of where I did my growing up, where I learned to become a chef and had lots and lots of fun adventures. Both cities that are very iconic food cities, and each book is a true adventure, but at the end it has 2 recipes from each city that you guys can kind of tear out, and they're laminated, so you can cook from them, and they're super fun to do. So each book's got those in the back. It's a really, really fun book series. The third comes out in January, which will be Hong Kong, totally different from the other 2. Yep. And then the fourth one, we're not sure yet, but that'll come out in the next fall. So next fall, yes. And so anyway, it's a really fun read and sort of a little fun passion project for me that I hope you guys all get a chance to at least take a peek at. So what I want to do is keep that nice and short and now answer your questions, because that's something that you guys don't ever get to do with me, and that's part of the fun of coming to these festivals is to actually have a little interaction with you guys and we can get to know each other a little bit better. So I believe that there's microphones on either side. Yep. And if it only takes the first person to ask a question and then it's all good. Everybody feels good. So come on up if you want. Oh, you can just come up to the microphone and then I'm happy to answer your questions.
I really enjoy cooking. How old were you when you started cooking?
Wait, first of all, what's your name and how old are you?
William, and I'm 10 years old.
Oh, William. Do you know, it's very difficult for a 10-year-old to be the first one to come up and ask a question in a room this many people. It takes a lot of guts, William. It's really nice. Okay, so my mom says that I started cooking around, well, I think that the first memory of cooking is at 5. You know, before that, I was dabbling, my mom said, but I don't remember. Making pizza was my first sort of thing that I made. My grandfather used to sit us on a kitchen counter, and he used to make pizza dough. And then he'd give each one of us, myself, my siblings, and my cousins, a little pizza dough, and we'd roll it out, and we'd put our own toppings. Of course, they'd help us since I was 5. But Jade does it today, and my daughter Jade does it, and she's 5. So So we made pizzas, and it was my first memory of making food and how much I enjoyed it. What do you like making, Liam?
I like making pasta.
Yeah? What kind of pasta?
The pasta. Wait, I'm not sure really what type of pasta.
Well, tell me what's in it. Is it a red sauce? Is it meats? Is it
Red sauce.
and
Tomato paste, actually.
What's that?
Tomato paste.
Very nice. See, you do know. Good for you. Good for you. Thanks, William. Hi.
My name is Isabella, and what is your favorite person to cook with?
Isabella, how old are you?
6.
Oh, so cute. You're just a year older than my daughter. That little headband is very cute. So your question is, who do I like cooking with? Well, probably the person I have the most fun cooking with is Jade, because she likes to taste everything, and we do a lot of laughing together when we cook together. Over the years, I've cooked, my favorite cooking partner over the years was always my brother, which is why the story is about a brother and a sister. My brother and I had a lot of adventures. He's unfortunately no longer with us, but we had many, many cooking adventures and many adventures in general, and he was 2 years younger than me. And so I would say that over the years, he was my favorite. And nowadays, probably Jade is my favorite. Good question. Hi.
I've waited my whole life to meet you.
I didn't hear I couldn't hear what he said. See?
I've waited my whole life to meet you. I want to know what your favorite recipe is.
You're the cutest thing ever. What is your name?
Nicholas.
Nicholas. And how old are you, Nicholas?
5.
Oh, Nicholas. Oh, Mom, you're going to have some trouble. Oh, yeah. Nicholas. Okay, what was your question? I'm sorry.
What's your favorite recipe?
Oh, boy. My favorite recipe. Well, Nicholas, I love dessert. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. So some of my favorites, well, one of them is zeppole, which there's actually a recipe in the Naples book for zeppole. They're like Italian. They're just the Italian version of donuts. Do you like donuts?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I like those. And I love anything chocolate. Like brownies and cookies, and even sometimes just plain old chocolate chips. I will eat anything that has chocolate in it.
Me too.
Yeah! Nicholas, thank you for coming today. Oh, that's so great. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Elsa.
Elsa. And how old are you?
8.
8. And what's your question, darling?
How old were you when you started doing the Food Network?
That's a really good question. I don't know, maybe 15? No, I'm just kidding. When I started on Food Network, I was 31 years old.
Okay.
Do you know how old that makes me now?
You are 39.
Very close.
40.
Very close. Keep going, Elsa, keep going.
41?
No?
42?
No?
43?
Yes! That good? That answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm happy to be 43. It's a fun
Okay.
age. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. Do you have another question?
No.
Okay. Oh, so cute. Oh my gosh. Hi.
Hi,
Hi. What's your name?
Timothy.
Timothy? And how old are you, Timothy?
6.
You're 6. And what's your question?
What do you like to make with your daughter?
Great question, Timothy. What do I like to make with my daughter? Well, my daughter is very into cupcakes these days. How many of you guys like cupcakes? A lot. I thought so.
I like them.
So, because I don't want to always make sweet cupcakes for her, I started making some mac and cheese cupcakes. Do you like mac and cheese?
Yep.
Yep, that's what I thought. So what I do is I cook some pasta and whatever kind of meat that's left over, whether it's steak or chicken or sausage. Your smile's very cute, Timothy. And then I cook some, who likes broccoli? Okay, so most kids like broccoli, Jade likes broccoli, and cheese. And then I get a little muffin pan, and we put everything in the muffin pan, top it with cheese, and put it in the oven. And when they're baked, they come out, and they look like little mac and cheese muffins, or cupcakes. You should try making them. Sounds good? Make them, Timothy.
Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Hi,
Hello.
what's your name?
Elisa.
Eliza? Pretty name. How old are you?
8.
You're 8. What's your question, darling?
Me and my mom watch your show a lot. Do you do any cooking classes for kids?
That's a very good question, Lisa. I haven't done any cooking classes for kids yet, but I do them every once in a while. Like, I do these festivals around the country, and there's one in Miami every year in February, and I do a cooking class there for kids, only for kids. But that's really the only one I do. But you know what? I should work on doing more cooking classes for kids, shouldn't I? I should, and I will. I'll make it my New Year's resolution, okay?
Okay.
All right. Great question. Thank you. Cute. Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Karina and I'm 13.
Hi, Karina.
I just wanted to know how you got started on the Food Network.
Good question, Karina. By accident. So I was dabbling in some food styling at the time. And you know what that is? Food styling, sort of. Well, so you know when you see those cooking magazines like Bon Appetit or Food and Wine, and all the food looks styled, like it looks really pretty. I always say it's like a clothing stylist who dresses models and stuff and whomever, but for food, we dress the food. We cook the food, we dress the food, make sure it looks pretty. So I was doing that, and it was right after 9/11, and I was working for Food and Wine magazine just on the side as just sort of an internship, and they asked me to do a piece on my family and our food. So I got my family together and I did a piece for them, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna maybe be a food stylist now. I thought that'd be my next job. And Food Network happened to see it. This is a long time ago, and that is where Everyday Italian started, because they basically, there's a head of programming there, who's still the head of programming, saw it and asked me to put myself on tape. It took me about 6 to 8 months to do it, and when I finally did it, Everyday Italian was born, and that is how it happened.
Thank you.
Great question.
I love your outfit.
Aw, thank you. Hi.
My name's Francesca and I'm 9.
Oh, hi, Francesca. What a great name you have.
It's Italian.
I know. That's why it's a great name.
My question is, what's your favorite adventure with your daughter?
What a great question. What is my favorite adventure with my daughter? I think that one of our favorite adventures is when she comes to New York with me. We go just the two of us, okay? So it's like a little girls' trip. And I take her to everything that I do, whether it's work or we go to Serendipity or we go for a walk in the park. She really likes to go on the horse carriage. She feels like she's a princess when she's on those horse carriages. And we go there and we pick which horse it's going to be. And we go through the park, Central Park. And we get hot dogs for dinner or for lunch on the street corner. Those are the most fun adventures we've had together. I spend a lot of time traveling and working, so it's really nice when I can just take her just the two of us. And she loves, loves, loves to get in bed with me at night and go to sleep at the same time that I go to sleep, so that she doesn't have to go to bed earlier. And we order room service and we eat in bed, all the things she doesn't do at home. I think those, you know, she's 5, so we've only just started our adventures together, but those are some of our favorites.
I really like your hair, too.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Gina. I'm 16 and I'm so excited right now.
Oh, hi, Gina.
I've watched you since I was 7 and I'm 16 now. And you're sorry. You're
Goodness, 10 minutes. Okay. All right. Do you want to re-ask the question really quick so that everybody can hear it?
You were my role model since I was in 2nd grade, and were there any other role models you had growing up, and what's your favorite like cuisine to make other than Italian?
Oh. Okay, so my role models growing up. Well, a lot of them were my family members. But beside them, I would say Julia Child, probably. You know, there were a lot of chefs when I was in Paris in cooking school that I really, really liked. And I looked up to people like Alain Ducasse, very high-end French chefs, because that's where I thought I wanted to be. And Michael White, who was in London, people who were very much artists. You know, so those are the people I really looked up to. And then when I came back to the States and I started working here, I worked for Wolfgang, who was quite phenomenal and quite a mentor. And he's based in LA. And then I would say that, what was the other question? What was my favorite?
Your favorite type of cuisine other
My
than
favorite
Italian?
type of cuisine is probably Japanese.
Ooh.
I think because it is so foreign to what I know and the ingredients are, but yet so delicate and so beautiful, like a piece of art. I find it fascinating, and I've been wanting to perfect it for a very long time. So yes.
Thank you so
It's
much.
a great
I love
question.
You.
It is a pleasure to meet you.
You too. Oh my gosh.
Hi.
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 What's your name?
Jody.
Hi, Jody. How old are you?
I'm 11.
Oh, what's your question, darling?
Well, it's kind of obvious. Have you ever been to Italy? And what are some of the best things you can remember from there?
Okay. I was born in Rome, okay, and I moved to the States when I was 8 years old. And I go back about once a year, sometimes more if I can. I would say that my favorite memories from being in Italy is probably the food. Food is the first memory. In fact, when I land, the first thing I have is pizza bianca with mortadella. So mortadella is the Italian version of bologna, but in my opinion, a lot better. But that's the very first thing that I have when I land, every time.
I lived in Italy for 2 years.
So you know what it is. Where'd you
I just
live?
came back. Naples.
Yeah. And Naples has some of the best pizza in the world, in my opinion. What was your favorite food from Naples?
That's a really good question. You know, that's kind of hard.
Well, what did you eat when you were there? What was your favorite go-to? When you went out to eat, maybe?
We like to get, if we went for breakfast, we like to get the cornettos.
Yeah,
because
cornetto.
those were some of my favorite things there. And if we ever went to the pizza shops, Pizza margherita was my favorite,
There you go.
and I always loved the legend associated with it.
Yeah,
That was
it's
a
got
really
great
good story.
stories. Naples is it's a city that a lot of people haven't visited, but I'm telling you, it's a pretty extraordinary city, filled with great food and great stories and wonderful people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure meeting you. It really is.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you too, Jody. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
All right. Yes, hi.
Hi, I'm Lily.
Hi, Lily.
I'm 12 years old.
Hi, Lily.
And my question was, what was your favorite food to cook when you were a teenager?
My favorite food to cook when I was a teenager, actually, I will tell you that my favorite thing to eat when I was a teenager was pasta alla bechamel. And I'll tell you what that is. It's rigatoni baked in the oven with a white cream sauce. And my mom used to make it for my birthday every year. She had cheese, a lot of cheese on top, and then you put it in the oven at a really high heat, and you get all of this like crispy, cheesy crust on the top, nice golden crust. And on my birthday, and only on my birthday, I ate the whole top layer. And I left everything else, all the soft, gooey stuff, for my family members. I was never allowed to do that any other time of year than on my birthday. That's
Nice.
what I did every year.
Nice,
So that would be my favorite thing when I was a teenager.
nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to meet you too. Thank you for your question. Hi.
Hi, I'm Claire.
Hi, Claire.
When did you start writing books?
Claire, how old are you?
I'm 9.
Oh my goodness. So I started writing cookbooks about, well, let's see, Everyday Italian was my very first cookbook, and that was about 10 years ago. So I would say cookbooks 10 years ago. Storybooks, I just started. So we'll see. It's a bit of a different adventure, and we'll see how long it goes for. But it's been fun so far. Great question. Do you have another question, honey?
No.
You good? Okay. Hi.
Hi, my name is Caleb, and my question is,
How old are you, Caleb?
I'm 9.
You're 9.
and my mom wants me to become her sous chef for dinner,
I don't blame her.
and my question is, what inspired you to make your first book?
What inspired me to make my first book?
Yeah.
Well, to be completely honest, when I started and I didn't think I needed to write a cookbook, to be honest, because I felt like people could get the recipes from my show, from watching my show, because I made the recipes so easy that I felt like you could just write them down by watching it, you know? And then I realized that I thought, you know what, how nice would it be for people to have the recipe and a picture to go with it, so that they could always go back to it, you know? So truly the inspiration was to be able to give everybody a very easy cookbook, Italian cookbook that they could keep going back to with great pictures to inspire both parents and kids. Because I do that with my daughter. I pull out cookbooks, not necessarily even mine, any of them, even Dora. And there's little recipes and there's pictures, and she picks the picture she likes and we make the recipe. And that, I think, helps kids inspire them to want to be in the kitchen so that you can become your mom's sous chef.
Thanks.
Thank you for your question, sweetheart. Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Emma. I'm 11.
Hi, Emma.
And I was just wondering, which character do you think you identify with, like more Alfie or Emily
Amelia.
Amelia?
I would say that I identify more with Amelia. I was the older sister of four kids, and my brother Dino was 2 years younger, sort of like Alfie. And he, even though he was younger, he took care of me a lot of the time. Like he felt like he was the older brother, and so I liked to pretend like I was the boss, but a lot of times he was the boss. And so I think there's a lot of similarities between Amelia and myself, and a lot of similarities with my brother, the way he was, and Alfie.
Okay.
So a lot of those, they're similar. And then Zia Donatella is sort of loosely based on my Aunt Raffi, for those of you who know my Aunt Raffi.
Okay.
Yeah, great question though. Very good question.
Okay.
Thank you, sweetheart. Hi.
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 My name is Lucy.
Hi,
and
Lucy.
I'm 6 years old. My question was, what do you like to make when you were in your cooking class?
What do I like to make when I'm in my cooking class? Well, lots of different things. I like to make desserts, like tiramisu is really fun. I like to make mac and cheese overtime. I'm on overtime? Okay. I like to make mac and cheese cupcakes. I like to make roasted chicken. That's always fun too. And stuff it, stuff the chicken with like lots of things like lemons and herbs and oranges. So I like to make a lot of things, but probably my favorite right now, Jade and I make a lot of pizza and mac and cheese cupcakes. That answer your question? All right, I'm gonna take one more question, okay? I have to go over here. I'm sorry, honey. Yes?
Have you ever gone, or where did you go to college in Paris?
Aw. What's your name?
Bridget,
And how old are you, darling?
11. This
Aw.
is my cousin Tatum.
Hi. Hi. I went to cooking school in Paris, yes, and I went to Le Cordon Bleu, where I lived for a couple of years, and it was a really phenomenal experience. I thought, when I went to Paris, I really went there because I thought I would become a pastry chef, and in my opinion, the best pastries were in Paris. And then I ended up sort of doing both, covering all my bases. But it's if you've never been to Paris, it's quite an amazing city, a very romantic city with great crepes on the street. They sell crepes on the street, wonderful croissants. I mean, there's just phenomenal food, and definitely get some hot chocolate because they make extraordinary hot chocolate there. Great question. All right, I think they're not going to let me talk anymore. Thank you so much. I could do this all day. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I think I'm doing a book signing after this, so I hope to see you all there.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.